Could a life that shone so brightly still hold shadows no one can see? At 70, Kevin Costner's story isn't just about fame or fortune. It's about the heartbreak hidden behind the spotlight. Years of applause, awards, and legendary roles paint one picture, but behind the cameras, the tragedies run deeper than most realize. Decades ago, he chased dreams across dusty plains and westerns. Yet the man who brought hope to screens faced personal storms few knew. Family joys mingled with private losses, health struggles, and moments that left scars not visible to the world. Each success seemed to carry a weight, each smile a quiet struggle. Even as the world remembers him as an icon, there's a side of Kevin Costner that feels painfully human. A man who gave so much to art, yet life demanded more in return. And now, looking back over 70 years, the triumphs and tragedies intertwine in ways that are both inspiring and heartbreaking. Stay with us, because we're about to uncover the untold truths of Kevin Costner's life. What made him rise, what weighed him down, and why his journey is beyond what anyone could have imagined. The early struggles of a dreamer. Kevin's story didn't start under the bright lights of Hollywood, nor with cameras rolling or red carpets waiting. It began in Linwood, California, a modest town where childhood dreams were often boxed in by reality. Kevin was just a boy with a guitar in hand, humming melodies no one else could hear, imagining stories bigger than the small streets and modest houses around him. Talent alone, he soon realized, was never enough. Opportunities were rare, and money was tight. Some nights, the walls of his home felt closer than comfort. Cardboard boxes stacked in corners reminded him of scarcity, while the muffled worries of his family about bills and daily survival pressed in on him like a shadow he couldn't escape. School offered little solace. Teachers didn't always understand the boy who scribbled ideas in notebooks instead of focusing on algebra or history. He wasn't lazy or careless. He was dreaming, seeing worlds that stretched beyond the classroom walls, worlds that felt alive and full of possibilities. But these visions often made him appear distracted, even difficult. Classmates didn't always relate either. A boy speaking of faraway lands and untold stories sometimes seemed odd or out of place. Still, Kevin persisted, building an inner resilience that would become his foundation. Outside school, he took on odd jobs, anything that would help him contribute, anything that would bring him closer to understanding the craft he loved. He learned patience by working behind the scenes, watching directors, studying the rhythm of a set, and noticing how storytelling could capture hearts and minds. Auditions were relentless tests of spirit. Rejections piled up like mountains, each one heavier than the last. There were moments when Kevin questioned whether the dream he carried in his chest was foolish or if the world simply wasn't ready for him yet. Sometimes, it felt as though the universe itself was testing him, offering tiny glimpses of possibility and then snatching them away just as quickly. Yet Kevin's response to failure became the quiet heroism of his youth. Every no was a lesson, every closed door a challenge to push harder. Pain became perspective. Humiliation became fuel. Each disappointment sharpened his understanding not just of the industry he wanted to join, but of life itself. He realized that the heartbreak, the early struggles, and the nights of loneliness were all shaping him into the storyteller he was meant to be. By the time his first breakthrough arrived, Kevin wasn't merely an actor with a face for film. He was a man who had walked through shadows and emerged with a voice that could carry truth, grief, and hope all at once. But even as the world began to notice him, the personal cost remained quietly invisible. Long hours on set, the grueling schedules, and relentless pressure meant missing birthdays, missing quiet dinners at home, and missing moments he could never reclaim. Friends and family often became secondary to the demands of work, not out of choice, but necessity. This was the beginning of a lifelong pattern, a bittersweet dance between passion and personal sacrifice. The tragedy of those early years didn't announce itself with drama or headlines. It seeped in quietly, shaping the man Kevin would become, influencing every choice, every relationship, and every story he would tell over the next 7 decades. Even at this early stage, the lessons were clear. Life would demand endurance, dreams required patience, and true storytelling required a depth of experience that could only come through struggle. Kevin's childhood, humble and challenging, planted the seeds of a resilience that would carry him from the quiet streets of Linwood to the epic landscapes of Hollywood, forever leaving the mark of the boy who dared to imagine more than his world could offer. Fame's hidden price. Hollywood brought Kevin Costner fame that many could only dream of, yet it arrived with shadows he could never fully escape. By the time Dances with Wolves made him a household name, millions saw him as a hero, a face of courage and charisma on the silver screen. But behind the camera, behind the applause and standing ovations, Kevin was facing a reality few could see. Long hours on set had taken a toll on his body. His back ached from grueling shoots, sometimes leaving him in pain for days. Each role he took was not just an artistic challenge, but a personal burden. He carried entire productions on his shoulders, feeling responsible for every frame, every scene, every nuance. Sleep became scarce. Nights once meant for rest were often spent revising scripts, attending meetings, or simply staring at the ceiling, wondering if he could meet the expectations placed on him. Strained relationships quietly formed in the gaps of time he could never reclaim. Friends drifted, and some opportunities to be present in his children's lives were lost to sets, premieres, and travel. The bright lights of Hollywood could not fill the quiet voids that fame had created. The weight of public attention also pressed on his family. His first marriage faced pressures that money or success could not soften. Every mistake, no matter how small, was amplified by tabloids and gossip columns. Every achievement felt public, celebrated on magazine covers, but rarely enjoyed in the private way he longed for. The children he adored were growing up under scrutiny, each milestone observed by a world that wanted to see either the perfect father or the flawed star. Kevin's heart often ached, wishing he could give them a childhood untouched by fame. Despite all this, he tried to create small sanctuaries of normalcy. Family trips to Aspen became treasured escapes. Horseback rides, quiet movie nights, and long conversations in the warmth of home offered brief respites from the relentless pace of Hollywood. In these moments, he could laugh freely with his children, hear their unfiltered voices, and remember the life that existed beyond the spotlight. Yet even these moments carried the bittersweet knowledge that they were exceptions, not the rule. Public eyes were always watching, and Kevin knew that no smile on a red carpet could truly erase the pressures that fame demanded. It is easy to look at awards, financial success, and accolades and assume that life has become perfect. Kevin's story proves otherwise. Glory comes at a cost, often invisible, often unspoken. The higher one climbs, the further shadows stretch behind them. And as Kevin turns 70, these hidden costs have accumulated, shaping a quiet tragedy few truly understand. A life where triumphs are vast, but the personal price is just as real. Fame may have opened doors, but it also closed spaces of intimacy and peace, leaving behind a man who carries both victory and solitude in equal measure. Family ties and private battles. Kevin Costner's children became more than just family. They were both his anchor and his ache. Liam, born in 1996, chose a life largely outside the spotlight. To the world, he was almost invisible, a figure in the background, quietly living his own life away from cameras and tabloids. But to Kevin, Liam was a constant reminder of patience, trust, and quiet love. Their bond grew slowly, shaped by mutual understanding rather than public appearances. Every phone call, every private conversation, Every shared memory carried more weight than any award or red carpet moment. Liam's presence was subtle, almost unnoticeable to outsiders, but it was profound for Kevin. It was proof that connection doesn't need an audience. It thrives in respect, in moments of shared silence, in trust that grows over time. Then came the younger three, Caden, Hayes, and Grace. These children were still in the bright chaos of youth, still carrying the joy and innocence Kevin had dreamed of giving his family when he was a young father. Caden, curious and introspective, gravitated toward music and video editing, finding ways to express himself that reminded Kevin of his own early creative struggles. Hayes, energetic and adventurous, took to horseback riding, even appearing briefly alongside Kevin in Horizon, a nod to both father and son, sharing a passion for storytelling. Grace, the youngest, was a whirlwind of spirit, athletic, witty, and fiercely protective of her dad. She was the glue in moments of tension, the spark that lit up even the quietest days. Moments together in Santa Barbara became sacred. Watching old home movies flicker across the wall, Kevin felt a blend of healing and heartache. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, and ordinary afternoons were captured in grainy film, showing faces younger than today, voices lighter, smiles untarnished by fame's burden. These images reminded him that time moves relentlessly, that no achievement can pause childhood, and that no success can fully protect what we love most. Every laugh heard from the past brought both warmth and a sharp pang of longing, a reminder of what was fleeting and what could never be reclaimed. Kevin often reflects on his family with a soft sadness, a mixture of pride and melancholy. "Family isn't a chapter," he once said, almost as if speaking to the younger versions of himself. "It's the whole book, and I'm still writing mine." Those words carry the weight of a life lived in extremes. Fame and fortune brought doors that few could imagine, yet personal trials, health struggles, exhaustion, and the inevitable mistakes along the way reminded him that love and family demand sacrifice. Even amidst grand gestures and adventures, the core of Kevin's world has always been these moments of intimacy, the quiet bonds that sustain him. Every smile in those home movies is layered with duality. They are joyful, yet tinged with longing, light-filled, but shadowed by the challenges Kevin endured along the way. They reflect a life spent chasing dreams while holding on to what matters most, balancing the public spectacle with private reality. His children, in their varied personalities and passions, embody pieces of both his past and his present, teaching him that endurance, patience, and love are the true measures of success. At 70, Kevin's story of family is not one of perfection, but of profound connection, proof that even amid hardship, the ties that bind us can be both our greatest comfort and our deepest vulnerability. The endurance of pain and purpose. Despite years of grueling work, relentless schedules, and physical setbacks, Kevin Costner's fire has never faded. Kidney stones, back injuries from long shoots, and decades of exhaustion could have slowed anyone else, but Kevin rises before dawn, carrying a quiet determination that has defined his life. He writes, he directs, he dreams, often long after the world has gone quiet, driven by a deep need to complete his stories on his own terms. Horizon, the massive Western saga he poured his fortune and soul into, is a testament not to fame or financial gain, but to something far rarer, truth forged in blood, sweat, and time. Every frame, every scene, is a reflection of a life lived fully, of lessons learned the hard way, and of a vision he refused to compromise. Pain, Kevin has always believed, refines a person. It strips away illusions and forces clarity. Fame alone cannot define a legacy. Awards, red carpets, or recognition are fleeting. What endures is the courage to keep moving forward, the love invested in those around you, and the will to create even when the cost is high. At 70, Kevin embodies this principle. Life is not about comfort or ease, it's about persistence, even when the body aches and the world is indifferent. Every setback, every failure adds depth to his story, making the triumphs richer and the quiet victories like finishing a scene exactly how he imagined it priceless. Yet the tragedy lies not in the failures or the losses, but in the silent, often invisible price of ambition. The cost of pushing forward, of carrying the weight of expectations and self-imposed standards, is rarely seen by anyone outside the inner circle. Kevin's life reminds us that resilience is not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. It exists in the unremarkable hours, the early mornings before anyone wakes, the nights spent writing scripts, the long stretches of solitude where ideas and fears wrestle in equal measure. These are the moments that truly define a life worth remembering. For Kevin, endurance and purpose are inseparable. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Each scar, each ache, each sleepless night has been a step toward leaving something meaningful behind. In this quiet, unspoken struggle, he continues to inspire not through spectacle, but through the enduring example of a man who refuses to stop, who refuses to settle, and who shows that the true currency of life is courage, love, and the relentless pursuit of one's vision. Reflection and legacy. When people ask Kevin Costner about his legacy, he often laughs softly, almost as if the question itself carries more weight than any answer could. Statues, accolades, or public praise were never his goal. They never defined him. His legacy is far more personal, far more profound. It lives in the life he has lived, in the people he has loved, in the family he has nurtured, and in the stories he has shared on screen and behind the camera. Even at 70, there is a sense of unfinished business, not a burden of regret, but a quiet drive to continue creating, to continue connecting, to continue leaving a mark that matters beyond the applause of strangers. The tragedy of Kevin's life is interwoven with its triumph. Fame and fortune came with a heavy price. The long hours, the missed birthdays, the nights of solitude, the aches that come from decades of work. Yet through all of it, Kevin's story demonstrates something essential. Hardship is not the opposite of grace, but its doorway. Pain, endurance, and love are the forces that shape a life and a legacy far more than awards, wealth, or public admiration ever could. Every setback, every moment of loss or challenge has added depth to the man he has become. And in that depth, there is wisdom, a quiet clarity that others rarely see, but that defines him as much as any performance. For anyone following his journey, the lesson is clear. Dreams are not born in comfort. They are forged in struggle. The real wealth of life is not counted in dollars or trophies, but in relationships nurtured, in resilience cultivated, and in the courage to continue moving forward when the world might prefer you to stop. Kevin's life is a testament to this principle. Watching him navigate fame, family, and personal trials reminds us that the light of one's life shines brightest, not in the absence of darkness, but through it. Even in quiet moments, watching his children laugh, reflecting on old films, or walking through the valleys of Aspen, Kevin's understanding of legacy becomes clear. It's not about perfection. It's about endurance. It's about transforming wounds into wisdom, struggles into insight, and challenges into stories that resonate long after the camera stops rolling. His life encourages anyone watching to look beyond surface successes and focus on what truly endures: love, perseverance, and the courage to keep building, creating, and giving, even in the face of heartbreak. At its heart, Kevin Costner's story is a reminder that legacy is living fully, loving deeply, and striving relentlessly. And in that striving, there is both the quiet sorrow of what is lost and the enduring joy of what is built, a balance that marks the true measure of a life well lived. Kevin Costner's story is more than Hollywood glitz. It's proof that life's richest moments are earned, not given. At 70, the tragedy of his journey is undeniable, yet so is the inspiration it leaves behind. Every role, every film, every private moment with family reflects a life lived fully, even when the price was high. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute in the comments. Share your thoughts on a man who never stopped standing tall, even when life demanded more than most could bear. Like this video, subscribe to stay updated on more stories that reveal the truth behind the icons, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that endurance and love define a life's true legacy. Wherever life finds you tonight, remember, it's never too late to forgive, rebuild, or begin again. Kevin's journey proves that hope endures, and that a life well lived is measured not in wealth or fame, but in the love we give, the hardships we overcome, and the light we leave behind.